CQ, calling CQ. Come in, please.
Hello again. Thought I was going to do a separate video, but I thought I would latch this video onto the midweek net one. Another old radio in the shack. I've had one before. There is one somewhere on the channel, on my channel, that I did probably about a year ago now, I would guess, and bought that one from well, off eBay. It came from Scotland and sadly had a few problems, and luckily at the time I got in touch with Dave Cubwolf over Leicestershire, and he offered to look at it for me. He did a splendid job, and like a prat I got rid of it. So this is yet another jumbo, Ham International jumbo. I won't go into too many details. They're sort of a radio that people love or hate, really. Some people like them, and I've heard people who don't like them think they're rubbish. I like the heritage of them. I like the background history of them, as well as the radios. They were smuggled into the country many years ago. I mean, this one in front of you could be 38 years of age. Before radio was legalised and people in Britain were using sort of AM sets. I knew a guy at the time who, I don't know how he was getting hold of them, but he was selling them for about £350 when I was 17. I'm 53 now, so this radio's seen some action in its day, a bit like me. It still works. Unlike me, I'm still job hunting. I've got a few irons in the fire, as it were. So anyway, getting back to the radio. They came from where they originated, where CB was sort of invented, which is America, and that's where I believe these radios came from. The board in this is the, I can't call it the Mark 1, some people call it the Mark 1 Jumbo, and I'm told that the anoraks and people big time into these radios don't like it being called the Mark 1. It's the original Jumbo, shares the same board as the, I believe, the Concorde and the Multimode 2. And I made a Mark II Jumbo, which I think shares the same board as a High Gain and various other radios. And then I'm told, but I don't quote me on this, I may be wrong, so feel free to put in the comments if you know better. I don't mean to, I'm not implying I'm a leading expert on these radios. I'm not. I should know more than I know, because I've owned probably 5 or 6 Jumbos in my life. I've had a Colt Excalibur, and I've also had another one. I had one what was silver. I can't remember the name of it. It looks identical to a Jumbo, but it wasn't a Jumbo. And I had a Colt Excalibur, which was like a goldy bronze colour. I normally get fed up with the smell they make, to be honest. They smell... I got a good description last night. I was talking to my mate Tim on the radio, and I came up with an uncanny smell, what they smell like. The last one that Dave done for me, that give off a bit of a pong. If you did a few overs on FM on the Muppet block, that give quite a serious pong off, and you think the thing's about to go pop and burst into flames, which it never did. I made a fatal mistake there. I should have asked Dave if he put me a pair of power posts connectors on the back and then connect it to an external supply, and of course it probably would never have made the smell. But that's normally why I get rid of them. Now this one's had a bit of a mod done, which I can't show you at the minute. It's a lot of trouble to get that radio out and show you the back end of it, but there's a big heatsink on the back, and part of the power supply has been put to the external side of the radio, as opposed to being inside the radio. So it does give a little bit of a typical jumbo smell, but not as bad as they normally are, and that's why I normally get rid of them. That's the only reason. That's the truth. That's the only reason. This one you see in front of you, it's missing the handles, so that's neither in nor there to me. Some people make a big deal about the handles. I would prefer the radio works properly, as it should. Well, as I want it to work. It's not original. It's been EPROM'd on the A&L switch there. When you press that down, that's the EPROM in, and 14 is channel 14 on the Muppet block. So it does correspond to the correct channel. And on the band knob, low, mid, high, they are actually low, mid, high. So mid, channel 1 mid is 26965 is the frequency. So they are correct. In an unmodified state, I can't remember how it goes. I think low becomes mid and mid becomes high, and high becomes double high or super high, whichever way you want to call it. And I think the display would show something like 73 or 78 when you're on 19, and you can only get sort of 26 channels. They had some people used to call them a muffle mode, because before they've had the FM mod, they did sound a bit muffly. This one doesn't. Sounds brilliant. I acquired it recently, and I did listen to the person who used to own this radio on a regular basis, and he sounded lovely, as good as I've ever heard him, using a Sadelta bass mic. It hasn't had the FM mod for the squelch, which is, I find that a little bit irritating. It goes with a pop when somebody talks. When they break the squelch, it goes pop. I can't get anybody to do it because it's late at night, and that noise you hear, that lot, pop, it comes in a bit rough. There's a modification Dave does for that. It comes in nice and smooth, the same as my Uniden does when somebody breaks the squelch. That's annoying, but I can live with that. And as I say, I like these radios. You have to think about what you're doing when you're flying the thing, when you're operating it. You know, you've got to make sure if you want to free band on the 5s, you know, take out the EPROM, that's the first thing, leave it on the high block, turn it to SSB, bump, like that, turn the squelch off, turn that round to 12, and now you're on 27555. Got a disturbing sound on there at the moment. Looks like a train going on a train track. I don't know how well you can see this on the camera, but as anybody who's a regular on my channel will hopefully appreciate, I've put my camera on the tripod so you won't get seasick. Yeah, so me personally, I do like these radios. They're a bit controversial, as I say. Some people don't like them, and the value of them comes into question as well, because obviously some people prefer them well, I won't say left the factory, as standard, with no work or modifications done to them. Some people can't tolerate them without the handles. To me, as I said earlier, I'm not bothered about the handles, providing the radio works correctly. This one does. It's had the FM mod done. I don't know who did it. I don't know any history about the radio whatsoever, really. I haven't even had a power meter on it since I've owned it. It should do about round about the 4 watts on AM and FM and 12 PEP on sideband. When you do, I haven't even heard anybody. It's a bit flat at the moment on the free banding frequencies. And I shall attempt to go on the midweek net on Sunday. Today is Friday evening. It's 11:15. It remains a virgin radio till I've spoken abroad on it. HF sets are all fine and dandy, and they're quite easy to use, some of them, very, very easy and straightforward, and you can get anywhere instantly. On these radios, you've got to think about what you're doing. If somebody says take it to, I don't know, 27540, you're either going to have to get a chart, make yourself a chart, so you can get there fairly rapid. Because when you've got to switch blocks and turn your KC shift round, pull that out and turn your KC shift and all this sort of stuff, it slows you down. And you can lose your contact if somebody's not patient enough to wait for you. But so it's handy if you've got a frequency counter, which I have. It doesn't work on sideband, only on FM. So if you wish to see where you are, really, it pays to flick it to FM, key up, and then you can see where you are on the frequency if you can't quite work it out. But I like having these old radios about, and it's a bonus if they work half decently, which this one does. As I say, people do all sorts of mods with them. Normally a common one is to replace the bulbs. These ones don't look that bad. I've seen a lot worse than that. They go a dark brown colour, and they replace them with LEDs, which, yeah, they look fine. I've got no complaints with that either. Some people put a bluey coloured LED in, they look quite nice, and it's a sort of piece of furniture depending on your point of view. And this is the problem with jumbos, it is very much depending. It's a Marmite thing, you love them or hate them. I like them, I really do like them, but they're getting old now, and it's very hard to pick up one what works how you want it to work. And some people have bought them, and within a few weeks or months they go kapumph and stop working. So it does help if you've got one what's operating correctly, or you know somebody who can service it for you or repair it if it goes wrong. But how long I'll own it for and all the rest of it is anybody's guess. I've got no plans to get rid of it at the moment, and it matches quite well to this Delta bass mic on the Muppet block on the UK40. The sidebanding side of life is pretty rubbish where I live anyway. With all these weather problems we seem to have with rain and static and all that at the moment, it's hard to even get on the midweek nets where I live. I actually, as you'll see from the video before this part, I went out in my car and to the midweek net, because it's virtually almost impossible to do it from home. So if you're just chewing the fat with me local people within a 10-mile radius, can't beat the jumbo. Massive LED readout, and 2 big meters, and plenty of little controls to mess about with. This one should have a bleep in, but along the line I suppose somebody's disconnected it. I won't say they were notorious for sticking on, but I think the relay, I think the bleep was controlled by a relay, and some of them used to stick on. The relay would get sticky and the bleep would stick on. So some have been, well, most of the ones I've had have been disconnected or put onto a switch. So what's this had done, this one? It's had an FM modulation conversion, whatever it's had done I don't know, but it's definitely very clear, lovely, crispy, clear audio on the FM side of life. It hasn't had, as I say, the squelch mod. It pops when people break the squelch. That's a bit annoying, but it's just one of those things you put up with. The ANL is the EEPROM. Flick it down, 1 to 40 readout. I like the radio, I'm really happy with it. As I say, it's got a big heatsink on the back, so it smells. I never said this earlier, I didn't complete, as normal, I never complete what I meant to say. It smells like warm horse manure, one of these jumbos. That's the closest thing I can come to. Warm horse manure, what's given a bit of a pong off when they get hot. This one only does it very mildly. If you go out of my man cave and then come back in, you can detect the smell, but only mildly. But on a normal jumbo without that mod, if you key up and have a good conversation with somebody and do a few long overs, absolutely stinks. They reek like they're about to catch fire. I think that's about as much as I can say about the radios, really. A headphone socket there, I've never used one. Anybody who doesn't know about these radios, they've got a built-in SWR meter You've got your calibrate knob there and a switch here, swar and calibrate. Key up, a bit like using an SWR meter. Key up, flick the switch to calibrate, turn the knob till the needle comes to set, then flick it to swar, key up, and then you've got your SWR. That works fine, I've tested that. What else is there? Two antenna inputs, A and B, which is pretty handy because I do happen to have two antennas up, so I can switch between the two. Doesn't make much difference, but you know, two antennas in there. AF gain, which is your audio, basically your volume. Squelch, low, mid, high, your band selector, then your mode selector, FM, AM, upper sideband, lower sideband, channel selector with a positive click. And you got your mic gain, RF gain, pull on to tune. If you push that in, it should be set on the zeros. I think it's the zeros. It should be set to. Pull that out, and then it allows you to adjust your frequency. I don't know if it's 5 kilohertz from the 0, 12 o'clock. If you turn it full clockwise and anti-clockwise, it might be 5. Is it 5 kcs possibly? That's got a click on it for the calibrate, so you can turn that off so it shows what power you're putting out, or click it on and calibrate it to show you swar. And then your on off switch. Modulation light, so when you're talking 1 2 1 2 1 2, the yellow light comes up there, look, with your modulation. 1 2 1 2 1 2, 1 to show which mode you're in. That's currently on sideband. Better put it back to FM, haven't we, because I'll forget knowing me. So switch that to FM, that's it. Nobody about, it's pretty dead where I live. At this time of night you might get the odd person now and again. And that's it. I don't think there's any more I can say on the subject really. I just thought I've acquired a new to me radio. It is an old radio. Yeah, they made a Jumbo 3. I think I saw one at Dave's. I've never had a play on one. I've never owned a Jumbo 3. I'm not sure if I've had a Mark II. I think I may have had a Mark II Jumbo. What the differences between them all, I really couldn't tell you. This one's got a split board. It's got basically a multi-mode 2 board in it, and another board for something else, and another board for the power supply. There may be 3 boards in that radio, but a big empty box really, because when you take the lid off it, you've just got circuit boards at the bottom and a little power supply transformer at the back. But I'm sure if you're interested in that, you'd see the pictures or videos of somebody else's video. But I thought I would show you anyway. I hope it hasn't been too boring. You all take care till next time, and I'll try and get a radio like the Grandstand. I've never owned one of those. I don't particularly want one, but they're an interesting looking big home base. Madison. I don't particularly like the Madisons. I know they've got some people do, but they look cheap and tacky to me. They've got like a clock on them. Makes it look like a big alarm clock to me, but it's personal taste, isn't it, and personal preference, and it's what makes us individual people. We all can't like the same thing. Like some people will think that is a grotesque, massive, rubbish radio. It's your point of view, and that's all what counts in life. We're all different. Anyway, you all take care. Thanks for watching my video. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Any comments, you know, I'll try and answer all the comments. Luckily I haven't got a massive amount of subscribers. I think it's about 235, something like that. Take care all. Speak to you soon. Look after yourselves.